Hello, and welcome to Hard Assets for Scary Times. My name is Linda Ehlers, and I am the presenter for this afternoon's breakout session, or if you're in the California area, this morning's breakout session. Over 40 Females has weekly educational teleseminars that range from fashion to finance to building your business to strengthening your spirituality and endless other subjects you can benefit from. So if you would like to look at our archives and the video resources, please go to over40females.com and start looking around. So let's get going this morning. For those of us who are in this organization, one of the concerns is our retirement. And today I really want to focus in on a part of retirement called superannuation. That's the process of outliving your retirement funds. The Social Security Administration released some information just this month that said women turning 65 today can expect to live well into the middle 80s. And most surprising of all is that 1 out of every 10 of us is going to live past the age of 95. So the major question for us, and I turned 68 last week, so this is a serious topic for me, is how am I going to pay for that retirement? If I live that long, will my retirement investments last? How much money do I need? Well, I've got to invest. We all have to invest enough money so that when we retire and want to draw money out, we have at least 75 to 80% of our pre-retirement income. That's a pretty stunning figure. And I just got, actually yesterday, an email from Senator Dick Durbin, who said that just 7 years ago, the U.S. suffered its worst economic meltdown since the Great Depression. Financial institutes on Wall Street collapsed, causing millions of Americans to lose their jobs and, for many, their homes due to foreclosure. Over $19 trillion in household and retirement wealth was wiped out. That's from Illinois State Senator Dick Durbin. And so for many women, being homeless and penniless and out on the street is a subtle but really honest-to-goodness fear. Superannuation can be hedged with land banking, and it's a process and an investment that I'm willing to bet most of us don't know about. And what's land banking? Well, land banking is simply acquiring really well-thought-out, well-researched land, raw land, before it is tagged for its highest and best use. When it comes to adding things into our retirement portfolios, there's a list of things that we want, or check marks or criteria that we want to match that investment up against. Certainly, we want to know that it's going to be a hedge against inflation. Certainly, we want to know that it's simple and that we don't have to do a lot of fussing with it. I certainly want to have something that I can leave to my heirs. Anything that says the equity compounds tax-free catches my attention right away. And the bottom line is I want long-term potential gains. This is who I am, and I am a certified land specialist. Although I live in a suburb of Chicago, I have a California real estate license, and I have my license hanging with a company called VELUR Enterprises. VELUR Enterprises is a very well-established company. This is their corporate logo, and what you can see in the bottom left corner of your screen is a picture of the globe. And the reason that's in their logo is because they do business with investors from all over the world. The building in the logo is where their corporate headquarters are located in Van Nuys, California. And up at the top, above the letter V, you can see a number of cities named. And I'm going to talk to you today about the Lancaster-Palmdale area of Los Angeles County. And we're going to focus our attention on that. Just a few more details about VELUR so you know that they're real. They are registered with the California Department of Real Estate. They've been in business for over 3 decades. They do so much land banking sales that they have not one but 2 escrow companies within their doors. All of us know the old saying about don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And when it comes to retirement investing, This is a pretty good concept. And I think most of you already have applied the wisdom of diversifying your retirement investments. As Senator Durbin said, we have lived through some really horrible financial times. Things are getting much better, but we learned our lesson and we want to be diversified. When it comes to investing for our future, there are four areas where we can put our monies: banks, the government, the stock market, and in real estate. Let me touch on the first three of these briefly for you. Banks are a great place to keep, in my opinion, what I like to call working capital. Most of us know that the interest rates on savings accounts and certificates of deposit actually don't keep pace with inflation. Let me just remind you or point out to you that I am not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a financial planner. I am a land specialist. So I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of these areas, and you want to take this kind of information to those people, talk to your experts, make sure that you're very well informed about these topics. But again, briefly, looking at government instruments, we can put our money into 529 programs. Those are investment programs for college education and government bonds. We can also invest in the stock market, and that's really where most of us have our retirement funds. Some of us are day traders, and I admire you. I did try that. It didn't work really well for me. Some of us, the majority of us, are in mutual funds. I want to give you a heads up about mutual funds. If you haven't seen the PBS documentary called The Retirement Gamble, you can go online to pbs.org and see this documentary from April of 2013 for free. If you're in a mutual fund, you want to sit down and take the 45 or 50 minutes that it takes to watch this documentary and understand and appreciate what Jack Bogle, who is the founder of the Vanguard investment funds, has to say about some of the mutual funds that are out there. If you're in mutuals and you haven't seen this documentary, it can save you literally thousands of dollars. So go to pbs.org and look for The Retirement Gamble. The investment vehicle that I want to talk about today, and that's my specialty, is land. Yes, we could talk about apartment buildings and flipping houses and all of that, but let's just go right into land banking and land investment. For investors with VELUR, one of the things we emphasize is that land is the only business, investment, or asset class that you can buy by the acre, and when you sell it by the square foot, and there are 43,560 square feet in an acre. What that translates into when you talk about equity is the potential for huge equity gains on any acre of land that you own. VELUR likes to also remind potential investors that land is not something for speculators. In the over 3 decades of experience that VELUR has in the land banking business, they know that the average hold time for any property that they sell is between 7 and 10 years. So if you get your juice off of buying it today and selling it tomorrow, land banking is not going to work for you. But if you're an investor, a true investor, where you want to put your money and leave it there and watch it develop into something very profitable, then land banking is absolutely something you should consider. VELUR has over 22,000 investors from all over the world. And today what we're going to talk about is, or I'm going to focus in on, is why we do land banking in Los Angeles County. 4 key factors that affect the land values in Los Angeles County, and we're going to look at first population. And those of us who have been to California or know about California, probably have watched some disaster movies too, know that Los Angeles is a very densely populated city. If you took a protractor, and you can, on the top right of your screen, you can see that I've used a protractor to draw a circle around Los Angeles. And the perimeter of that circle this is a 60-mile circle. It encloses just 5% of the land in Southern California. But in that little section of land are almost half of California's population. And California projects that in 4.5 years, the whole state's going to add another 5 million people, and you can bet a good chunk of them are coming into the Los Angeles area and want to live in that 60-mile circle. And by the year 2025, California expects to add another 10 million people to its population. So the number of people going into this area is huge. When you look at a paper map of California, one of the things you'll notice is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen is the ocean. Nobody's going to go live there. You'll also notice that there's a green section that is federal land. So, of course, you can't build housing developments or buildings or factories or warehouses or distribution centers there. The black lines basically encompass Los Angeles County, and you can see that Los Angeles County includes and skips over those forests to an area where you see the cities Lancaster and Palmdale, where approximately 600,000 people currently live. And where people live, we have businesses. So I want to give you just a little bit of an insight into some of the businesses that are affecting the land value in Los Angeles County. The healthcare industry in the last decade has dropped almost $1 billion in buildings for medical facilities. This is where one of them, the location where one of them was started back in November of 2012. You can see raw land being processed a year later. The Kaiser Permanente complex had its skeleton in place. And in November of 2014, Kaiser Permanente's medical office building opened at Avenue L in Lancaster, California. This is $550 million investment by Kaiser Permanente, and just one of 9 major facilities in the Lancaster-Palmdale area of Los Angeles County. Another factor in the business world that's affecting land there is the fact that businesses need places to put their warehouses and their distribution buildings. And recalling what the map of Southern California looked like, there's no place to put them in the downtown LA area. However, the available space in Lancaster-Palmdale is almost 3/4 of the vacant square footage space that's available for building these warehouses and distribution centers. This is a picture of the Skechers warehouse. You can see how big it is. In fact, it encompasses 80 football fields of space. This is an ongoing issue for businesses bringing in supplies through the Port of Los Angeles, which, by the way, is the 3rd largest port in the world. Businesses are also coming in with manufacturing and the solar industry. This gentleman, Warren Buffett, among other things, in 2013 purchased 4,200 acres in the northern part of Los Angeles County and created the biggest permitted solar field in the world. He spent $2.7 billion to do that. Earlier this year, an estimate was created that says Mr. Buffett has invested over $30 billion in the Lancaster-Palmdale area, also known as Antelope Valley. That's what the AV stands for. One of the businesses that he brought into the valley was a business called BYD. And BYD has its corporate headquarters in China. It's the largest manufacturer of electric vehicles in the nation of China. They are now manufacturing in Lancaster all-electric buses that can travel over 200 miles on a single charge. Those buses sell for about $750,000, and they have a huge back order for the buses, and BYD is projecting that they will be hiring about 1,000 people to help build those buses. A third factor that affects land values in the Los Angeles County is what the state government and the city governments are doing. And on this slide, I have put up just some little insert boxes showing just some of the legislative actions that have caused the property values and the property in the Lancaster-Palmdale area to become very, very interesting for those of us who are investors. A lot of that has to do with the push by the state of California to become dependent only upon renewable energy sources. And just a month ago, California took another leap forward with that effort by passing 12 bills designed to reduce gasoline usage by half, increase energy efficiency by 50%, and have half of all of its electricity come from renewable sources such as wind and solar. Obviously, they're calling it the California 50-50-50 plan, and they want it done and in place by 2050. In addition, these are another set of factors that the government is involved in that are pushing a lot of interest in the land in the Antelope Valley. In the top right corner, you can see an airplane. There are 3 major airports in the Antelope Valley. One of them is 7 times the size of LAX. Isn't that an interesting thing to be aware of? Don't you wonder why they would buy and build an airport that's big? Below that is an image of the High Desert Corridor. That's a $6 billion expressway that's in its final stages of impact awareness, and they expect to be building, put a shovel in the ground for that within the next year to 18 months. Below that are images of high-speed rail lines. The Lancaster-Palmdale area will be the focal point for not 1, not 2, but 3 high-speed rail lines. One of those rail lines is already being built. In the top left-hand corner, an image of the rail line at the Palmdale Transportation Center. About 40% of the people who work for a living get on those trains and go into downtown Los Angeles every day. So a lot of transportation activity, a lot of government focus on using the available area in the Antelope Valley to further its transportation needs. Another thing that the government has done to make owning land in California so appealing is the Proposition 13. That's a law that was passed in 1978. And what it did was it tied your tax rate to the purchase price of your property, not to its assessed market value. So if you own a parcel of land in California, and we're talking about the land, not about the buildings, but if you own a parcel of land, whatever you paid for it is what you get taxed on, and your tax can be no more than 1.33% of the purchase price. And last point that I want to present to you about Los Angeles County and especially the Antelope Valley is how limited the available land is and how huge the demands are. The renewable energy industry took up over 110,000 acres in the 3 years between 2011 and 2013. I've been out in the valley just a few months ago, and even more land acreage has gone into solar and renewable energy production. I just don't happen to have a statistic on that. But a huge amount of land going into renewable energy production. And the other thing is with all of those people living in Los Angeles, they need someplace to live. Where can they go? Well, they can't. They're not going into the sea. They are not going into federal land. The only place left for them to really build major housing developments is in the Lancaster, Palmdale, Antelope Valley area. And this is a big issue. You can see this is just one article from May of last year, where builders are scrambling to find the lots to put their land on. So land banking is the practice of acquiring well-researched, pre-developed land before it's tagged for its highest and best use. So when it comes to looking at raw land, do you think it would be foolish to buy this? Well, what if you knew this was coming, or this, or this, or this, or this? And the answer is VELUR knows that. VELUR does the research, pays attention to all of these issues about population, business, government, and the demand. Those, when you pay attention to those, what you have is an answer to all of the criteria about adding an investment to your retirement portfolio that will answer all of those issues for us. VELUR does that with an amazing amount of research criteria. This is what their PhD and their management is doing, looking at parcels, making sure that they meet or exceed all of these criteria, so that when VELUR has a parcel of land available for an investor, all of this legwork has been done, and investors can be assured that those questions have been answered. I want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know life is busy for all of us. We have a lot of things to pay attention to. I do private classes and also webinars on land investing. Needless to say, I have a lot more data that we can present on any given parcel and on the area. You can find me. I'm on the Speakers Bureau here at Over 40 Females, so put my name in and do a search. You can get a lot more information about me. If you do want to email me and set up an appointment so I can answer your questions in person, do so by emailing me at lellersland@aol.com. All right, and that concludes my remarks, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you, and have a great day.